Notre Dame Cathedral in Tournai. The Cathedral of Notre Dame in Tournai was built in the first half of the 12th century. It is especially distinguished by a Romanesque nave of extraordinary dimensions, a wealth of sculpture on its capitals and a transept topped by 5 towers, all precursors of the Gothic style. The choir, rebuilt in the 13th century, is in the pure Gothic style. The Notre Dame Cathedral in Tournai lies at the heart of the old city not far from the left bank of the Escaut. The present building is not homogeneous with regard to its chronology and conception, but the result of 3 coherent projects, completed and still distinguishable: the Romanesque nave and the transept, and the Gothic choir. The construction of the first 2 was for the greater part carried out in one go during the early 12th century. No major modification was made to the building during the following centuries, limiting its adaptations to the times. It is difficult to associate the cathedral with just one influence or school, but in its design and its elevations it presents layouts that influenced the development of early Gothic art. In particular, it is distinguished by a Romanesque nave of impressive dimensions and richly sculptured, and by a transept with 5 towers that indicate the beginnings of Gothic art. The choir, rebuilt in the 13th century, is of pure Gothic style. The conception of the nave illustrates a great originality with several important innovations. The transposition to the exterior of the running course of the tall windows, the rise to 4 levels and the double western door make the nave a unicum in the history of Romanesque architecture, while the sobriety of the ornamental elements appears to be due to the weight of Carolingian traditions, particularly sensitive in the early Low Countries. The master builder has thus executed a remarkable synthesis between the most innovative aspects of the architecture of his time, although taking some liberties, and the local traditions. The dimensions of the transept, adorned with 5 towers, is surely the most emblematic characteristic of the Tournai Cathedral. Today, the sources are not sufficiently interpreted between the so-called Lombardine influence and the harmonic facades of France and England. However, its posterity is evident. The model flourished throughout the second half of the 12th century. The Gothic choir marks the introduction of new forms of classic Gothic in Belgium in the middle of the 13th century. It is particularly representative of the era of its construction. It bears witness to the tremendous technological progress of the end of the 12th and beginning of the 13th century. It is also an example of the rapid spread of this architecture from the creative centers of Ile-de-France dating from the middle of the 13th century onwards. Indeed, it is a fashionable, la page building using the most recent techniques and the embellishments and the taste of the time. The Notre Dame Cathedral in Tournai bears witness to a considerable exchange of influence between the architectures of the Ile-de-France, the Rhineland and Normandy during the short period at the beginning of the 12th century that preceded the flowering of Gothic architecture. In its imposing dimensions, the Notre Dame Cathedral in Tournai is an outstanding example of the great edifices of the school of the north of the Seine, precursors of the vastness of the Gothic cathedrals.